to Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win!
James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound time. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Portland has 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot.
A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range three.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome to this week's edition of the 40 Minutes Basketball Network. We are a day late, a buck short, but we're not writing the report. I am Tim Daniel. I'm here as always. I'll see how long it would take you to catch on what I was doing there.
That was so bad.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. But I was thinking about it, and I just couldn't stop myself, as you know. Here with Sean Backey. Sean and I hanging out tonight. Joshua Odellis Hayes says he'll be joining us here a little bit. But Sean, we were talking a little bit before we went on air here. It is March Madness time, and you tell me that you picked the Alabama Crimson Tide to win the national championship, which I think is a very smart call.
I went for it, man. I usually don't pick the number 1 team in a bracket to win. It's usually like a 2 or 3 seed, but I've only won my office's bracket tournament once. So, and I've been doing it for the last 12 years. So I got the one year that UK went undefeated in the season, the Karl Anthony Towns team. 2016. Yeah. I ended up winning that one. I had them winning it, but because I had Wisconsin going as far as I did, I ended up winning the whole thing. But usually don't win it, but I'm going all in on them. They look like they've had a great season. As you know, I mostly just pay attention to local college basketball and kind of just wait till tournament time to see what's going on. So I am super excited to see what's in store this week with that. Very, very exciting time. So it almost like I always feel bad for the NBA during this week. Like this is just a bad week for NBA basketball, just because you're not getting half of the viewership that the NCAA is getting.
That and like being an NBA podcaster in this time is pretty tough because no one cares what you have to say.
That's true. So if you're listening to us tonight or this morning or whenever, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I also pick Alabama on every bracket I've done. I've told you guys now, I just think Brandon Miller, like, I know there's this big dark cloud over him, which Greg Gumbel very awkwardly made mention of during the Selection Sunday show, like very awkwardly was like, well, you know, they avoided criminal charges and got the overall 1 seed. And I was like, Greg, I don't know if we really had to go there for this, but I get you. And so, but you know,
well, my favorite old school draft website, NBAdraft.net, it does have Brandon Miller going 2 right now over Scoot. So I don't know. Sounds like you're on some Tim.
Scoot Henderson dropping to 3 and being out for the rest of the year, and no mention.
No mention at all. Like they just shut him down. It doesn't look like his team's going to go to the playoffs either. So I'm not super familiar with why Scoot chose the NBA G League over college. That's very baffling to me. Is it just getting him the paycheck, or?
I think that was part of it. I think also the fact that he enrolled in the G League Ignite a year early. So he's done it for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so more or less they shut him down just because they're not making the playoffs and they don't want to,
Well, that's kind of shitty because it's like if you're supposed to be the number 2 pick and I don't know, not dragging your team to the playoffs, it seems kind of Ben Simmons-y, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you listen to the NBA draft show, Parker and I do, we've basically talked about Scoot Henderson, where he is just the full-on mold of prime Russell Westbrook, where it's like if you're
Yeah.
getting that guy at 3, like you're okay with that. If you're getting Russell Westbrook
Yeah.
career at 3, you're pretty happy. Current Russell Westbrook, no, but
No.
in general, yeah, he's pretty spectacular. I like him a lot. I just think Brandon Miller, he was a 6'9" 2 guard basically with his ability to score. He chases down his own rebounds. Yeah, and look, they play in Louisville in the Sweet 16. If they are lucky enough to make it there, they're going to make it there. And so we'll have guys on site there to get Brandon Miller live and in action and just kind of give us the report.
So being that I am not a huge draft guy like you
Mhm.
are, I have to ask. So I play 2K, as you know.
Yep.
I got the first 3 draft picks on my team. So
Mhm.
I drafted Scoot, I drafted Victor, and I drafted Amon Thompson
Oh, nice.
and he comes up as a point guard in 2K, and he's got an insane dunk package, and I really like him. What do you know about this guy? I'm intrigued just by his gameplay in a video game.
So, actually, funny enough, this week on the draft show, Parker and I got to do a deep dive into both the Thompson twins. But
Okay.
I'm happy to tell you. So, you said you had Amen, not Asar.
Amen, yeah. So who is his brother? Asar?
Asar, yeah, they're twin
Okay,
brothers.
Oh, okay. And he's like towards the later part of the lottery, it looks like.
He's top 5. They're both going to go top 5.
You think they're both going to go top 5?
They're
Okay.
tremendous.
Okay.
Dude, they're so good.
And
So
they're playing for
Overtime Elite.
Overtime Elite. Now, what is that?
Overtime Elite is another kind of sort of professional league for younger players who don't want to go to college.
Lots of options out there now for these guys. It's great.
Basically everything LeVar Ball tried to do, Overtime Elite's doing now. So
Okay.
we're gonna bring Josh in here real quick on this, but what I can tell you about Amen Thompson is he's very skilled. There's a reason they're talking about him in the top 4 of this draft. He's just a cut to the rim kind of scorer. I could definitely see him being a 2-level scorer in the NBA. He's not a very good 3-point shooter whatsoever. So he's got to work on that.
I have also noticed that.
But everything else, man, he does really well. He's not very, I mean, I kind of joke that Scoot Henderson has some Russell Westbrook to him. Ahmed Thompson has like some 6'7" Russell Westbrook to him of just like being super dynamic, finding the open man, aggressively attacking the paint, but not a good shooter. But
does he play point at all?
Yeah, he's a 2-1. So he's a combo guard.
He's a 2-1. Okay.
Which is funny because Amen is also listed as a combo guard.
Yeah.
They're literally spitting images of each other.
Okay.
They're both from Oakland. Confusing. Yeah, they're Oakland kids from Pinecrest. So they've played high-level basketball basically since they've been 13 years old. They're good players though. But this is such a weird draft because in the top 5 you have one college guy.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah. It's so goofy.
First time in a while.
Yeah, because after Miller, the best college player is probably Jarris Walker from Houston.
Yeah.
And he's really good. I still really like Nick Smith Jr. from Arkansas. I know a lot of people are really disappointed in him because he didn't play much this year. But I like him a lot. And then, dude, this kid from Kansas, Grady Dick, he has a lot of Grayson Allen in him, but he is skilled as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a oh my gosh. I'm blanking on it because I'm just thinking of white guys from out west.
No, he's not
McDermott.
Jimmer.
He's not McDermott.
I think he's more athletic than McDermott.
All right.
Like Grady Dick can do more than stand in the corner and just catch and shoot.
McDermott is I feel like he is the most one of the most disappointing draft picks in Bulls history to me. Like, I will never forgive them for how many picks they gave up for that guy. And it's like, yeah, he is the 3rd or 4th leading scorer in college basketball history, but that means nothing.
Poor Antoine Davis.
I know, man. I know.
4 points away.
You know what? It wasn't meant to be. And you know
Could you imagine LeBron retiring 4 points away from Kareem?
No, no one would have let him down for that. But I will say this: I feel like Pistol Pete's legacy has diminished a lot since we were kids, because he
Yeah,
was a guy. I feel like same thing with Dr. J. He's another guy who's had just kind of a
that's an
diminishing.
insult to me, though. I agree with you, but it's an insult for Dr. J.
I I I completely agree. Like
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know why Dr. J has fallen off on so many, but there's been so many great players over the last couple of years. But anyways, another tangent.
Yeah. Well, Josh, sorry you had to come in during that. Sean asked me about my thoughts on the NBA draft prospects this year, so
Yeah, I was just listening. I mean, obviously the text messaging earlier today about you moving Miller up your list. I mean, so
that was before. You guys can check. You guys got the timestamps. It was before they announced Scoot Henderson was being shut down too.
it was.
Yeah,
It definitely
I
was.
I think Tim had I think somebody sent him a text message. They're like, they're shutting Scoot down, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell the guys who I like
wish.
more now."
I wish I was that high up on the list. I will be in Charlotte Friday for Trenton Flowers commitment, though. So that'll
Very
be fun.
nice, very nice,
Yeah.
very nice.
So let's get to our topics for the day, guys, because these were some really fun ones. Like I said, I want to make it kind of a quick and easy show, just kind of touch base. But this is one that's been really interesting to me, especially with Josh being here, because he's been Josh has taken such a big step forward since joining us with learning advanced statistics. I'm very proud of you for that. You've really killed it, man. Like, no joke, like, for sure. But one of the big conversations kind of going around is obviously, we've talked all year, like, we didn't think the league would let Jokic get 3 MVPs in a row. But, for majority of the season, he kind of played like he was the MVP. But of late, if you're watching Nuggets games, no defense played whatsoever by Jokic. I understand he's probably just like keeping his energy for the playoffs, but oh my God, he does like no efforts at all. So I was going to get your guys' thoughts on, because the streak that Embiid's on has obviously been tremendous. What Giannis leading his team to that extensive winning streak. Obviously, we know what Giannis does. Are we at the point now, in your guys' eyes, kind of get both of your thoughts now that you're here? Has Jokic been passed up now for MVP? Because the reason I ask this, Kevin O'Connor actually has Giannis as his number 1 and Embiid as his number 2.
I really like Jokic. I feel like I've come around to him more over the last couple of months than I have probably in my entire time of knowing about Jokic or watching him play. And I agree with you. The defense has dropped quite a bit. I think it was Zach Lowe or somebody ended up tweeting out today or putting on his podcast that he has more kicked ball violations than any other player in the NBA right now. He's got like 47, and the person who's number 2 in kickball violations is 17, and they said he does that anytime to stop the game because he doesn't want to like play defense, which that's like a statistic that I never thought that anyone would keep track of, by the way. Like that
Nope.
is it. That is a ridiculous, but it's interesting. It's a very interesting statistic. Because I do think Zach Lowe is one of those guys. I get a little tired of just hearing him over and over each week. Because he goes down so many nerdy rabbit holes, but the stuff that he talks about, like little things like that, like he is a great basketball mind. And that's like something I would have never even thought to even bring up. But what does Embiid got to do? What does he have to do to win MVP? I mean,
he's been unbelievable the last month.
He has been unbelievable. And I'm going to go ahead and say this.
Hell, he's been unbelievable for like 4 years, but
he's been unbelievable for 4 years. This is a guy that, 7 years ago, we didn't think, or 7 years ago, we didn't think was even going to play.
I know.
We didn't think he was ever going to play. And he has become way better than advertised. I mean, he is so good. And the problem is the NBA has too many superstars right now. There's so many great players, and I'm tired of everyone going, oh, nobody playing. It's not like it used to be. It isn't what it used to be, but there are a lot of great players right now. There's too many, and there's so much competition, and it's great, but you're seeing year after year Embiid getting snubbed, and I'm I'm gonna go out and say this right now. Like I'm already gonna be rooting for Philly this
Me too.
in the Eastern Conference this year. On the other side, I'm gonna be voting for the Kings, aka the Cincinnati Royals. So
Bro, they got a major chip on their shoulder, don't they?
They do. They lost last night though.
Trey
so.
Lyles is fighting Brooke Lopez, just like it, let's go. Like,
but I don't know. Do you guys think that the league is already kind of? Do you think they've already kind of given it to Jokic? Do you think he's? You don't think so? Okay.
I think the league, and we've talked about this all year. I think the league is very adamant on making sure people don't get 3 MVPs in a row since Larry Bird did it, and like I said, like you can make the case that 55 games Jokic was the MVP again. It's just up till this last couple stretches where he just like, who did he get bodied by the other night? That was like, was it Nick Richards? Maybe it's not the right thing I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But just guys where I'm like, come on, man. Like you can't, like James Harden won the MVP playing no defense. I know, but we can't really like the thing like Giannis won that MVP over LeBron was his defense. And it was the year he got DPOI too. And Embiid has been a tremendous defender now for,
he's
all year.
An unreal defender. Unreal. I love everything he does. But I feel like the main reason why Jokic has so much going for him right now is he's averaging a triple-double right now.
Yeah,
that's like
that helps.
The biggest thing. For a center, that's huge. I mean, he is averaging exactly 10 assists a game, exactly 12 rebounds a game, and 24.7 points a game. I mean, that is, and shooting 40% from the three. Like he's a monster. He is an absolute monster. And yeah, he probably
and his team's probably is a top 2 seed.
Top 2 seed. I mean, and if they don't make it, to the Western Conference Finals this year, Malone's gone. Like he's gone. They will get rid of him because they're not gonna. They have no excuses in Denver right now. They have no excuses. They have the team back. They have everything. Jokic is playing at a high level. They got Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon. They have all these great players. They have to make it to the Western Conference Finals. And I honestly like let's say they get to the Western Conference Finals and say they get swept. I still think Malone is gone at that point because I don't know where you go. I don't know how much better you can be because none of us, I don't know. I don't truly believe that the Denver Nuggets can win the championship this year. I don't know why.
I never believed the Nuggets can win the championship.
It's just.
Nor do I think Philly can. But
Okay. All right. Okay.
There's two teams. There's 2 teams in the East that are going to battle each other for the championship, and that's Boston and Milwaukee.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Doesn't mean I got to root for them.
The only reason I count out Philly though is Doc Rivers. Only reason.
But now it's my turn to bring in the advanced stats.
There we go. I love it.
So we all know, and by the way, one thing that Joel Embiid has going for him right now is his points per game average right now is I think the 3rd highest or 4th highest ever since the merger. And the only people in front of him was James Harden, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan. So
who are those guys? Were they any good?
No, not at all. But so right now, Embiid is averaging 33.5 points a game, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 blocks, shooting 53% from the field and 85% from the free throw line. And then you have Jokic, who is averaging 24-7, 12 and 10, shooting 63% from the field and 81% from the line. But here's where it gets interesting. And I haven't looked this up for Embiid yet, but leading the league, Jokic leads the league in PER. He leads the league in true shooting percentage. He leads the league in offensive win shares. He leads the league in win shares. He leads the league in win shares per 48 minutes. He leads the league in offensive box plus minus. He leads the league in defensive box plus minus. And he leads the league in value over replacement. When you start adding all these stats in, what it basically says is Jokic is the most important player on the floor to his team. And when he is off the floor, Denver is complete trash. So I don't know exactly what that looks like with Embiid, because I feel like when Embiid was missing, Philly was still winning games, and they had some other guys that could step up, like Tyrese Maxey stepped up. Obviously, James Harden stepped up. They threw some other guys in there that stepped up. Tobias Harris stepped up. I've yet to see anybody truly step up when Jokic is not on the floor. And these last couple games, you talked about how crazy it's been with Embiid playing. Like, Jokic has also been playing out of his mind. He just had a 30-20 triple-double. And he just lost his first 2 games in the past 2 years where he has recorded a triple-double and they have not won. So I don't think this race is far from over. I still think Jokic is in the lead, but I do think Embiid is catching him from the backside. And Jokic is going to have to keep putting up these insane numbers, and he's going to have to keep Denver in first place for Embiid not to be able to catch him.
I was muted. Sorry about that. But look, I picked Embiid to win the MVP, so of course I'm rooting for him to catch up in this. Of course I want him to get one. I think that, if Chris Paul is probably that we're listening right now is the best player to never win a title, I think Embiid is getting up there and the best player to not win an MVP. Quickly, he's climbing that ladder. I would absolutely love to see him win this. Like I'm with you, Josh and Sean. I really want to see Philly compete and go to a championship again. I don't know how they could beat Milwaukee or Boston a best of 7. I'm with Josh on that, though. Boston has shown a little bit more, some holes of late in their battles, and it really kind of is making things interesting. Where Philly is right now, just like playing excellent. They're on a 5-game win streak, which means they're going to lose tonight. Because I don't even know if they play tonight,
I think it's the longest win streak right now in the NBA. It's 5 games, which just tells you where everybody's at. But yeah, Boston lost to Houston last night.
Yeah. By the way,
wasn't not great.
Really happy Jabari Smith's finally playing well. Really happy he's kind of coming and hitting his stride at the end of the year.
Yeah, welcome.
Like him a lot. I'm really high on him still. I know a lot of people want to give up on him after his rookie year, but I like him a lot. I know this is very unprofessional of me tonight to have some bourbon while we're working. But
hey, I was like, hey, cheers to you, Tim.
I know.
Hey, to add on real quick before we change, I know this has been a big topic in the NBA right now. I've seen a lot of players that are, complaining about there should be like a league minimum of amount of games played in order for players to win these awards. So Embiid has missed 14 games already. Jokic has missed 8.
And Giannis is what, 5? I think I saw. Yeah. So, oh my God, the Lakers are up 30 on the Pelicans in the first half right now. On the road.
It was 14-0. It was 14-0, I think, before they even scored.
I mean, we're gonna get into that as a conversation here, but holy shit!
Ooh, yeah,
I love when Anthony Davis goes like every time any other team. Anthony Davis is like, I can be great, or I'm just gonna be a bum tonight. But when it's the Pelicans, he's like, "F you guys, this is what you're missing out on." You say you
gotta be like that.
You say you motherfuckers won the trade. Tell me you won the trade, like. So just a couple more topics on the show tonight I want to kind of get into. And I really just want to kind of honestly make this talk about the play-in teams, and that's kind of fitting for right now. So I kind of took a little bit of a screenshot here of the teams that were within, game and a half of being in the play-in. At this point in the year, I know it sounds silly, but I feel like if you're 2 games back, like if you're Portland in the West right now, I feel like you're out. There's too many teams. I understand you're only 2 games behind the loss column. There's too many teams you have to climb at this point. We're like here, I feel like Indiana being a game behind the Bulls who stink. is not necessarily that situation here. So I wanted to kind of dive in and kind of talk about these teams here. One, in the group that we have for both conferences, who do you guys trust the most? And two, could you see any of these teams potentially winning a playoff series? So I wanted to
I'm
start.
sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because first of all, can somebody please knock us out of that 10 spot?
I know.
One.
Yeah. God.
I'd really like to see the Pacers get in.
Same.
They got some kinks they need to work out. To be honest with you, man, the team that I probably
let me read the list first. And then we'll get to it. You're jumping the gun. All right. So at 7 in the East, we got Miami. 8, we got Atlanta. 9, Toronto. 10, the Bulls. 11, the Wizards. And 12, the Pacers. Miami is basically in. They're probably closer to the 6th seed than they are the 10th seed at this point. Atlanta and Indiana, between those 5 teams, there's a 3-game separation. So I'm with you, Josh. Go from here. Sorry. I had to make sure I got it in for the content.
I was going to say Miami that I trust the most, but if we're going to count them as a shoe-in, I trust Toronto. Yeah. I trust Toronto. Remember earlier in the season, I said there's going to be a stretch where they get their act together and they're going to make a run. And I just feel like there's too much veteran leadership on that team that's been in the playoff series before. A couple of them were on the championship team that was there with Kawhi. And I think that if they get into a playoff series and they got to play one of these teams. So right now, as it stands, they would play Atlanta, correct?
Yes. If things ended the way they are. No. I'm sorry. They would play Milwaukee. Wait a minute. No, you're right.
No,
I'm losing my mind.
They would play Atlanta for the chance to play.
Too much bourbon during the show tonight, folks.
Right. So yeah, I'm a believer in Toronto. I think Toronto's got enough pieces. It's crazy how, people were writing them off and we were telling them to break it up earlier in the season. And then they kind of got into this little bit of groove and they're winning some games here and there. And I think that if they get into the play-in, which they're sitting in the 9 right now, they could probably move up to the 8. But yeah, I trust me some Van Fleet and Pascal Siakam. Like I said, they just got guys on their team, man. When push comes to shove, that they know how to get it done.
I think
they've already been there.
Yeah, I think you bring up amazing points. Honestly, I'm with you. I only count Miami as a shoo-in just because, like, of all these teams, you're looking at, okay, it's a 1-game win, right? It's a 1-game season. Who are the best players in this group here? And Jimmy Butler is the best player on any of these teams. So,
that's exactly where I was going to go with it. I was like, I trust Jimmy Butler.
Right. Yeah. And you can probably make the argument Bam Adebayo might be the second best player in all these teams. So I think for sure Miami's going to be hosting the play-in. I think they're in the playoffs playing Boston in the first round, which is not a series Boston wants. I know Miami can't score for shit. They are the worst scoring team in the league, but they keep everybody else from scoring. They win games like 100-96. So,
and Jimmy's been hitting some crazy shots at the end of these games too. Like,
he's awesome.
Playoff. People don't understand playoff Jimmy, man. Like I think he's already in playoff mode.
Yeah. I mean, that finals when they played the Lakers in the bubble, even though the Lakers won, Butler was the most fun part of the series. And this is a guy who roots for the Lakers saying this. So
you want to hear something crazy right now? As we're talking about this, so all of those teams right now, their last 10, each of them are all 5-5.
5-5. Yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah, and I mean, when we bring up, who do we trust the most? Obviously, Miami, just because, well, they've been there. They have
the structure, the foundation.
The foundation. Yeah, they're just like they are the least hobbly out of all these other franchises that are below them right now. The Hawks just got a new coach. Raptors have been there. A good one. Yeah, I know. It's like, wow, he was. I forgot that he was even still out there. The Bulls need to go ahead and cash out. The Wizards, they're bums. The Pacers, I like a lot. Like I would love for them.
6-4, their last 10.
and it sucks because it's like, right now, unfortunately, the Orlando Magic are too many games out right now. Like, I was really hoping that they would make a late push, because they are fun as hell. I love that team.
I did
like,
too.
I really love the Orlando Magic right now. They're probably
I
my
almost
favorite
ordered a
team to
Paolo
watch.
jersey today.
Yeah. I mean, they are super fun, and they're
Maybe if I have
probably
a couple
going to
more
get.
bourbons.
Yeah, well, and like they have, with Wagner and Palo, and they're probably going to get the
Wagners.
Bulls draft. Yeah, both Wagners, and they're probably going to get the Bulls draft pick this summer. So, like, I mean, like, good things are on the horizon for the Orlando Magic right now. I was just kind of hoping that they might kind of exceed
Me too.
expectations a little bit, and get. And I mean, they've played very well. They've played very well for a very, very, very young team. But yeah, I'm with you, Josh. I really would like to see the Pacers move up this ladder and get in. I don't think the only team that's in this that I think could give another playoff team headaches besides the Heat it's the Raptors. I mean, there's no other team here that I'm scared of. Like, I'm not, the Celtics aren't going to go into a Hawks series and be like, oh yeah, these guys are scary. They're not going to go into a series with the Bulls and be like, oh yeah, these guys are real. Like,
You don't think the Knicks will go into the series with the Hawks and be a little nervous?
Nope, not anymore.
No,
not this year.
No, nope, not at all. I'm with you on that, Tim. Nope.
I'm a big Knicks fan this year, man. I love watching that team. I love Quentin Grimes.
The Knicks are going to go for DiVincenzo next year.
Just like they somehow signed Archie Diacono back.
Yeah, they're just going to add on to the Villanova crew.
They trade up and draft Cam Whitmore. Oh, dude, Cam Whitmore's a dude. If you guys actually, there's a plug. If you didn't listen to the NBA draft show last week, we did a deep dive in on Cam Whitmore. Really, really good content there that you should check out. The Parker brought some good information on. I'm with both of you. I think those two teams, I absolutely would love to see the Pacers climb up. I would have to look at their schedule to see how they compare to Washington and Chicago. Because right now it looks like the Bulls are going to make it just because by default, and that sucks. Because one, you got to go to Canada on night one. So no need to even show up because we've seen what it's like when Toronto is playing in a do or die game and they have their home crowd. You don't want that smoke.
It's funny you said that, Tim. Pacers, Bucks, Sixers, Raptors, Celtics, Hawks,
they're out.
Mavericks, Bucks, Thunder.
They're out. That sucks. Damn. Because I think we all deserve another 2 or 3 games of Tyrese Halliburton. I think we all
Cavs, Knicks, Pistons, Knicks. That's the rest of their schedule.
So right now, Sean just left. Right now, the 4-5 in the East is Cavs, Nets. Just 2 young teams that just put their cores together. It'd be a fun series.
Yeah, I think the Nets are. It was funny on the way here. I was having a conversation with my son. He was like, "What happened to Cam Thomas?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "He's not playing anymore." And I was like, "Well," they made this trade and they got some guys in that were that were established starters on another team. I was like, so they brought him in. I was like, Mikal Bridges has a chance to be the guy, and like you see what he's doing.
Yeah,
and I said, awesome. Unfortunately, I was like, Cam Thomas had a little stretch where he was doing well, but he's still really young and he's got a lot to learn. I was like, so they're going to plug these guys in that have some veteran leadership and let them play. And I was like, when you look at that Nets roster, like they're actually kind of solid.
I like that team.
Yeah,
I actually really like their roster. So let's go to the West real quick here. So this is kind of another group where, like I said, Portland's at 13, but they're 2 games behind Utah. So that would make them 2.5 games behind the Lakers at 9. So you got Minnesota, Dallas, the Lakers, the Pelicans, OKC, and the Jazz. This one's tricky because, so right now, as it stands, the Lakers would have a home game, right? Against the Pelicans, who they're beating by 35 on the road right now?
No, they would play Dallas. They would play Dallas.
That's right. You're right. Okay. Which I think I like them better than the Mavs besides Luka and Kyrie, honestly, especially if they're healthy. But I don't trust Minnesota.
That's a dangerous
whatsoever.
game.
It's a very dangerous game.
That's a dangerous game because when you get into those 1-game playoffs, it's like, okay, who has the best player? And if that guy shows up, like how hard is it so it's 2-on-2 at that point, at that moment.
Yeah.
Because Lakers will most likely have LeBron back. If they don't, I mean, AD is going to have to go for 50 and 20 in order for the Lakers to win that game.
The thing that's so funny at this situation is the trade that the Lakers made. So they got the point guard from Minnesota who's above them, and in this race, they got the shooting guard from Utah who's going crazy right now, who's also in this race. I think Dallas and the Lakers are the two teams I trust the most here. So I think it would absolutely suck for the sake of they had to play each other the first game. I would love to see these two teams make the playoffs and get a shot because I think that both these teams could definitely contend in a playoff series with Utah and Sacramento. I mean, with Denver and Sacramento.
Here's the problem with the West. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, here's the problem with the West. Golden State and the Clippers lose their next game, and Minnesota and Dallas win. Like all of a sudden, you got this.
It all changes.
Going on. It all changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Clippers, Golden State might fall into like the 6th spot or the 7th spot. Now they're in the play-in just off of one game, and that's how crazy it is. From the 4 spot down, from the 4 to the 10, there's a 4-game difference, and even the 2 teams that are out of it. It's still at 4 games. I mean, you got all these teams that are just bunched up to the point where like one game is a huge difference.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I stayed up and watched. I didn't want to, but I stayed up and watched Golden State and Phoenix play last night. And the way Golden State came out in that game and like haymakered Phoenix in the beginning, kind of like what the Lakers are doing right now. There was nothing Phoenix was going to be able to do to get back in that game. Clay was like 2000, game 6 Clay. He was shooting these all off balance threes and he was making them. And the Warriors actually looked like the Warriors for once on TV, where like they were passing the ball around. Their offense was moving. Iguodala caught a pass in the lane, and all of a sudden he one hop reverse dunk, and you're like, oh my Lord. And I was like,
forgot he was even still in the league.
We hasn't played.
Yeah, for a while he wasn't playing. Yeah, since Wiggins has been gone, he's been playing.
But for that one play, it took me back to like 2016, and I'm just like, this Warriors team right here is super dangerous. Like they're dangerous to play.
Contest, Iggy.
Oh, they are. The Warriors are the greatest probably possum team in the NBA playoffs this year. Like I would not want to play them. Right now, if things stayed the same, they'd be playing the Suns. They're going to be getting Durant back. I think that would be probably a really, really tough series for the Warriors.
They're done in that series because they have to play 4 games on the road.
Yeah, exactly. But they have, so their road record is terrible, but just absolutely abysmal. But they have won 7 out of the last 10, which is huge. Pelicans the Pelicans are like, I was kind of looking at them. They were, they're done. And I feel bad because they were on such a roll at the beginning of the year. And we want to like, I feel like as NBA fans, I would like to see the Pelicans with their team, with Zion in the playoffs. I think it would be a lot of fun, but their road record is almost as bad as the Warriors. They're another team that's really, really bad on the road. They're 11-23 this year out there. And it's sad, but besides, and I'm with you guys. I would rather see them. It's sad because the Mavericks and the Lakers are here at the 8 and 9. Like I would much rather see the Mavericks and the Lakers in the playoffs over the Clippers and the Timberwolves. Like I don't trust the Clippers at all. Like they're just they're
on a 3-game winning streak, man.
Well,
I think they figured out how to use Russ.
But they're just like the rest of the league. Over the last 10, they're 5-5. So like I'm not buying into the Clippers, man. Like I don't see them doing anything. But how are we feeling about the Kings right now?
I really like
you
them.
You buying all this jazz?
No, I'm buying the Kings.
No.
You're not buying them?
No, I'm definitely buying.
You're not buying the Kings?
No,
No, I
no,
said-
it was a joke.
He said,
it was a joke.
he said, are you buying all
buying
this
this Jazz?
Jazz? And I said, no, I'm buying the Kings.
No.
So,
Yeah, because the Jazz are an NBA team. Yeah. God, I'm a dad now. Okay, I can make these crappy jokes. I earned the
You
I earned the right.
you guys both can do that.
I will say, I think the Dallas Sacramento series would be very, very spicy.
oh my God. I
Very
can't wait.
spicy.
It would. It would.
And I think I wouldn't pick the Lakers to beat the Nuggets, but I think they would give a hell of a fight.
Oh, I want it. I want to see it. I want to see it so bad.
I do
wanna
think
see
the
it so
Lakers
bad.
could beat the Kings in a playoff series. So
Hey, I want to touch
honestly-
on something real quick with the Kings. And I think we're all probably in agreement here that it should be unanimous that probably Mike Brown wins Coach of the Year.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Especially after his
absolutely.
rant last night. I was like, he's my dude.
Absolutely.
But here's what I don't. This is maybe you guys can help me out. And I was talking to the kids about this. I don't understand this about a lot of things when it comes to sports. So Mike Brown took over in 05-06 as Cleveland's head coach, right?
Mhm.
50-32, 50-32. Then they had the down year where they went 45 or that was a down year, 45-37. Then they went 66-16 and 61-21, and then he got let go. Right? So his winning percentage in Cleveland was 60%. He was 600. He had a 600 winning percentage in Cleveland. Then
Well,
he
LeBron
goes
left.
to
So they
no. Then he goes to the Lakers, and the first year he's there with the Lakers, he's 41-25, and then he only coaches 5 games the next season. Then he goes back to Cleveland. Now he did not have a great record in Cleveland, but overall, what I'm trying to get at for his career, before he got there, he had almost a 600 winning percentage, and then he's at Sacramento with a 597 winning percentage. Shouldn't that speak volumes about him as a leader of a team? Granted, I know you had LeBron. I know you only made it to the finals once, but LeBron was young in that season, and they played probably one of the greatest dynasties ever in the Spurs. But you can't coach that many years and have that much of an impact on winning, and then all of a sudden say, hey, for the next 5 or 6 years, right, I can't have a head coaching job. And then you give him a chance again. He goes to a team that has been has been a dumpster fire for 20 years.
20 years.
He automatically turns it around that fast.
You also didn't
That
mention,
fast.
Not to mention when Kerr was out for a stretch, he filled in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really kind of
Oh,
kept
yeah,
afloat
he did.
during the
Absolutely.
playoffs. That's the difference between him and Luke Walton, is he did it during the playoffs.
Forgot about that.
I'll tell you what I look at more, Josh, than I do the record, because if you go record's sake, David Blatt should not have been fired when the Cavs were 20-9 and they won the title after they fired him. But I think what you see is how big player development is what matters to me more as a coach and your staff. And what De'Aaron Foxes became underneath Mike Brown speaks volumes to how good Mike Brown is. Just unbelievable what he's doing with this team of player development. I mean, look at Davion Mitchell, a guy that people were like, what is his role? Like, we traded Tyrese Halliburton to get this guy more minutes. He's contributing. He's a big part of that team. Domantas Sabonis has become more of a back to the basket kind of player. And that's huge,
Sabonis has always been my guy.
Yeah,
Sabonis
love
has always been my guy. Now I will say that he was an assistant under Pop.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
He's got great Pop stories.
Yeah, and then he was under Kirk for 6 years. So we've already seen what Golden State does with player development. We've seen what the Spurs do. So is he just part of the process? Is it just like,
oh, for sure,
he's seen it all? I mean, there was nothing he was going to be able to do in Cleveland to get that team over the hump to win a championship. Like, they just didn't have enough firepower, man.
Right. And
but
even those Lakers teams.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is with Sacramento, like, I watched this team play, and like, even me now, like, I'm confident, like, oh, they're going to win. Like, they play like they are going to win.
Yeah,
They're a
I-
solid ball club.
I
They
agree
have
with
a
you.
chip on their shoulders, all of them. I'm excited to see them. I think it's going to be huge for the league to have them back in the playoffs this year. They're going to be in the playoffs, but not even just making the playoffs, but they're the number 3 seed right now, which is just incredible. They made, the trade for Sabonis ended up turning out to be the right move for them. And I mean, their point guard. I mean, they are in the best shape that they've been in 20 years. And it's just, I don't know. I'm extremely happy that
Me too.
the longest playoff drought in sports right now, period, is going to end this year. I think it's going to be great for the league.
That actually, the top 2 ended in the last year in professional sports.
Was
The
that,
the Seattle Mariners went
Okay.
21 years, and the Kings went 20. And they both the Mariners made the playoffs last year in baseball, and it's something about the Northwest this year, man. Bet on it. Except for Portland. Don't bet on them. They stink. So I think we're all in agreement here. The teams we trust the most are Dallas and the Lakers. I think both those teams could definitely be competitive in a playoff series. I don't think I'd put money on one of them to win, but would it shock me if Luka and Kyrie led them past Sacramento? No. Would it shock
Absolutely
me
not.
if LeBron, AD, and D'Angelo Russell just had an awesome playoff series and fought the Nuggets to the wire? No. I'm also at this point now where I think with Shea, I don't think OKC makes the play-in. Actually, no, I do, because New Orleans stinks, and so does Utah. But I don't think
true.
I don't think they make the playoffs, is what I meant to say. I think if Shea is on another team, we're probably a better team. Are we having the conversation that he's a top 10 player?
I don't know.
I think we are.
Okay.
I think we are. I'm pretty high on what he's done, how he's improved on a stinky franchise. Says a lot about his skill set.
I think it depends on the team. I think it depends on, because right now he's able to
Let's
be.
say he's on Miami.
No, he
Milwaukee.
wouldn't be a top 10 player. No, I mean you can't, because unless you're getting rid of Drew Holiday and it's him and Giannis paired up. So if you're just adding him to the mix, I think that it takes away from what he's able to do, because he has the ball so much in his hand. He would have to go to a team that was built around him. So for instance,
like the Clippers?
If you swapped out him and De'Aaron Fox and put him on the Kings, I think because the Kings are winning, I think he would get more recognition for what he's doing right now. I mean, dude's averaging 30 points a game. It's not like he's just down there in OKC playing trash. But the one thing that I don't like about him is that every single back-to-back, they give him the night off. Every single one. So it's he plays one, he's off one. He plays one, he's off one. And I get it. He's had some pretty decent injuries already. But he's must-see TV now, man. You want him in the game every night.
Absolutely.
There's these young guys coming up. Even the trade that Sacramento made, Halliburton's must-see TV every night.
Yeah, agreed.
With that weird shot that he's got.
Yeah, the shot's weird, but it goes in, man.
It does go in. And I remember how high you were on him coming out of the draft too. I mean, you had it on him.
Yeah, I really liked him a lot. A lot of people thought I was crazy because Iowa State guys go to the league and don't do anything, but I really liked him. I really thought he had the skill set. I don't know. I'm not always good at the draft, though. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. But he was one that was kind of like a no-brainer, at least for me. All right. Well, I think unless we got anything else we want to touch on, that should be this week's show. That was a lot of fun convo. I enjoyed it. I think
Loosey goosey. It was all because of the bourbon you were drinking.
Right?
You were less regimented, so the conversation flowed.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
And I wish I would have got into the draft combo, because it's going to be really messed up when somehow when the Bulls end up tanking the last 15 games of the season and Orlando gets like a top, I don't know.
Josh, they won't tank the last 15 games of the season. They'll end up making
Zach
the play-in
Levine's going to
and then
score 40 a
losing.
night.
Yeah,
It's all because of the Pat Bev trade, man. Where's Ben at? Where's Ben?
Just stop bringing it up. It just keeps making me upset.
Hey, did you guys see Chris Dunn got a contract today?
Oh my God, I forgot all about him. God, he's another loser from the Bulls history that I can't stand. Oh my God.
He got a rest of the season contract. So what's that, like 2 weeks with the Jazz? So what's that even worth?
Gar Forman, like he saw him up in Minnesota for like, what was it, like a year or two? And
even before that, because when he was at Providence.
Oh, yeah. So they followed him all the way through the draft. They wanted him. They didn't get him. Then years later, even while he's sucking
the next
in
year
Minnesota,
they got him.
They're like, no, they just don't understand him. No, Gar Forman, you're just terrible at your job.
I saw something the other day. Do you follow Joe Cowley as a Bulls fan? I'm sure you do. On Twitter.
I absolutely do. Yeah.
So did you see this thing where people are fighting with him about the Butler Levine trade? And they're like, the Bulls definitely won the trade. And they're like, Zach Levine isn't even the best part on the 10th seed in the East. So
it's true. It's true. I mean, as soon as the Miami Heat made it to the NBA Finals with Butler won the trade.
Yeah.
It wasn't Minnesota. It wasn't Chicago. It
wasn't
Butler.
Philly. It was Butler.
It wasn't Philly. It was Butler. Like, he's the one, So
he is the one, isn't he? He's the man.
He is. He's my dude.
Same. I'll always ride or die with Jimmy Butler.
He's always gonna be my dude.
Same. All right, dudes. Well, we're gonna go and wrap this up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Whether you check this out on YouTube or on the podcast feed, we definitely appreciate the time. Like I said, keep an eye out for this week's NBA draft show. Parker and I are going to go deep dive on the Thompson twins, who Sean asked about earlier in the show. So we're going to give some discussion about them and our thoughts.
Going to be listening.
And then also, please take a second to, as always, subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice and leave us a nice solid 5-star review. We're now on an app called TuneIn. I had never heard of TuneIn, but we're there now. So
I'm familiar.
Okay, cool. So I'm glad you know, but because I do not. All right, guys, take it easy. 48 minutes basketballnetwork.merchmake.com. Buy some gear. See y'all.